please stand for the, led by Councilwoman Janice Duarte. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilwoman. I know we have two exits, one right here at the front and one in the back in case of emergencies. We're going to start with our referrals, and we'll go with legislation and public works. Oh, do we have copies of the agenda? So we can, they're being brought. All right. Legislation, public works.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Number one is on the agenda. No, sorry. Item number 3 is on the agenda. Item 5 through 26 is all for information, and that completes my report.
Thank you, Councilman. Human resources.
I have 5 add-ons. I have 5 add-ons which are all on the agenda. But I don't have an agenda to first add-ons 1 through 5.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Public safety and codes.
Thank you, Madam President. Item number 1 is called for. Item number 4 is called for. Item number 7 is called for. Item number 12, 19, 20 are for information. And item number 23 is for information, as is item number 24. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Councilman. Finance and planning.
Item number 2 is being called for. Item 6 is called for. Item 8 and 9 are on the agenda. Item 16 is for information. Item 17 is for information. Item 18 is on the agenda. That concludes my report.
Okay, Madam Administrator, can you do a roll call, please? Yes, Madam President.
Councilwoman Duarte. Present. Councilwoman Farquharson.
Here.
Councilman Griffith.
Here.
Councilman Wallace.
Here.
Council President Copeland.
Present. While we wait, would you like to give an update of the storm? Commissioner or Deputy Commissioner of Public Works?
The only update I got.
To the mic, so for the public. Thank you.
Good evening, Anthony Amiano, Deputy Commissioner for the Department of Public Works. Yesterday, with the heavy rains coming down, we have certain areas that flood out. Fulton Avenue and 5th Street, Fulton Avenue and Sanford Boulevard. I had to close it down with the help of the police department because by McDonald's the water wasn't going anywhere. And the basins cannot handle all of that water. Also at Langdon and Fulton, one of the manhole covers didn't come off because the water would just blew it off. So you just have to wait in cases like this for the water to subside and go down into the storm drains. A couple other manholes came off, and then some people had some water in their basements. But everything was under control. Once the rain stopped, we kept the guys out a couple hours on overtime to make sure that everybody was safe, and that's really all there was.
Thank you, Deputy Commissioner Amiano. Do any of you have any questions? Thank you. I would also say that for the Department of Public Works, that on the agenda is to rename the DPW garage in memory of Dennis Sayella.
Sayella.
So I just wanted to share that with you. We think that it is. It's supposed to be him later on. I would do the honor system, but I know that's not. No offense. Oh, this one. Okay. So I have the four speakers, I don't know what order they're in. Since I have them, I'm going to proceed with them. Except, I'm going to need one last name. Mr. Keller, you're up first. Please state your name and address for the record. So,
Thomas Keller, 12 Pasadena Place, 10512. Couple of things. Term limits. Councilman Wallace spent most of the last 2 summers getting petitions. He even went to 12 3-4-year terms for council, for mayor, for controller. I'll go 12 with council, but it'd be 6 2-year terms. You face the voters every 2 years, and how about districts? For controller and mayor, 8 years. Okay. Ms. Duarte, when these were petitioning, not this summer, the summer before, you were for it. Everybody gets 12 plus whatever they're on now. Mr. Griffith, you have 9 plus 12 is 21. You get 1 plus 12 is 13. You get 3 plus 12. You get 3 plus 12. You get 1 plus 12. It's like grandfather. What's the matter with you people? Now he's got to go out next summer and do the same thing? Runoff elections. Ernie got 35%, Maureen got 34% in 2011. In a one-party town, as much as I hate to admit it, being chair of the Republican Party means you're going to win in November. Thomas got 37. 4 or 5 other people got 63. Reggie Lafayette, your esteemed chair, said that if we had a runoff, Thomas may not have won. Well, I'm not so sure of that. Because Ernie got 24. And the rest of the people followed. Thompson, Maureen, and Clinton Young. Can't you pass a runoff? The 2 highest people, if they don't get 40% of the vote, run off in 2 weeks. New York City has it. Other places have it. The whole South has it. When the Democrat Party was dominant after the Civil War, the Republicans didn't get any votes. Massachusetts has it. 40% in the primary when there's a runoff for all statewide offices. I come from Massachusetts. Budget for 2019. I read the budget proposal in the Journal News. But it said $100 for each taxpayer per year, I think. But it didn't. You people have to understand the tax levy and the tax rate. If the tax levy goes up 0% and assessments are the same as the previous year, 0% tax rate. If the tax levy is 0% and assessments go down 2%, the tax rate is 2%. Because it's spread over a smaller base. They're raising the same amount of money. And I didn't see anything about tax rate. I don't know what the tax levy is. You got to get it from the, from the assessor. And whatever it was last December, what is it now? And not only that, you have to check to see what cases are in court that could be decided between now and when the rate is set, say December 15th. What if you have another stop and shop and it blows things out of the water? It could be 2 or 3 or 4% increase. The water department, I got this email from Mr. Wallace. What is it? Is the mayor using the water department like he uses the ITA? Because he can't get the budget he wants? Come on. Oakwood Gardens, Section 8 pilots. Keep it up, keep it up. There's something else I want to say. I never written it down here. How much time do I have left?
we don't know what's what.
22 seconds. Well, I'm thinking. Well, I guess I can't think of what else I wanted to say, so I'll save that for the next meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly. You said a lot.
Thank you.
Urban Building, 157 Elwood Avenue, Mount Vernon, New York. Good evening, everybody. Just have a few questions and some statements to make. Councilwoman Forrest, I've noticed that there have been a lot of, different kinds of drug addicts in the city of Mount Vernon. What do you propose be done about the opioid epidemic that has ravaged many places in Long Island and seems to be making a foothold in the city? For Councilman Griffith, my question is, what can be done to marginalize the mayor from attempting to use his power as mayor to embezzle funds from the water department? What authority does the comptroller have to scrutinize any monies that should go into the general fund? Councilman Wallace, as you know, the mayor is currently under indictment and facing trial in January. What can be done to expediently and efficiently neutralize the mayor from misappropriating money from various departments? Can a federal monitor be acquired to be a watchdog for the city until the investigation into the mayor's criminal proceedings have concluded? For Mrs. Councilman Duarte, you said in the last city council meeting that your appearance at the mayor's press conference was an attempt to stand with city workers. However, the mayor controlled the narrative and your presence seems to give the searcher's credibility. It leads me to believe that you and Councilwoman Copeland agree with the mayor's assessment that the comptroller is to blame for the planning commissioner and the city engineer, along with other employees not being paid. Do you believe the mayor? Have you spoken to the comptroller? And what do you say to Councilman Wallace's claims that the former and current comptroller have accused the mayor of failing to sign checks? For Councilwoman Copeland, my statement to you is that your presence as the council president has been ineffective, and you've missed a number of council meetings. The last meeting you were late, and you failed to address the speakers who come before the council and seem to only want to justify your actions and being questioned about your action or inaction as council president. Your presence at the mayor's last press conference accusing the comptroller of negligence is not, and not paying the city workers seems like a collusion between the council president and the mayor against the comptroller. Do you really believe that Ms. Reynolds has intentionally failed to pay these employees? I noticed that you're running for council seat this year. However, your failure to report or your lateness in reporting your campaign finances concern me and should give the voters of Mount Vernon trepidation in re-electing you to another term on the council. My opinion is that your upcoming election compromises your ability to put the people before politics and thus makes you reluctant to take obligatory action against the mayor to minimize his repeated attempts to disenfranchise the citizens of the city of Mount Vernon. The city council shall have the power to investigate all city officers, all departments, and all public affairs of the city, and shall have access to all records and papers kept by every city officer or department, and shall have the power to compel the attendance of witnesses and the production of books, papers, and other evidence at any meeting of the city council or in any committee thereof. And for that purpose may issue subpoenas to be signed by the president of the city council. For the expenses of all such investigations, including but not limited to appointment of special counsel in the event of the corporation council is disqualified from serving, experts and stenographers shall be and constitute a charge upon the general funds of the city.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lewis. John Gallagher.
Good evening, Council. My name is John Gallagher. I reside at 165 East Livonia Avenue, and I'm speaking on behalf of concerned property owners of Mount Vernon. I I had made a pledge to myself that I would only come here and talk when things to me are very, very out of order and outlandish. I am here to talk about finance matters, and the first finance matter I want to talk about, and I'd like to hear your opinion on it, is this outlandish, if not illegal, water rate increase that we got. It was 36 1/3%. 36 1/3%. I am a person that is very conservative with water, and I stay below the minimum requirement. My consumption has not gone up, but my rate has gone up 36 1/3%. So I know that several of you are aware of it. I'd like to hear comments from the rest of you where you stand on it. I was at a press conference on Monday that Mr. Wallace gave, and I applaud Mr. Wallace, Councilor Wallace, for taking the initiative and running with this, because I have received several calls from people that are not only complaining about their rate, they're complaining about their consumption levels are out of whack. They have been buffed up, and it appears that something is going on here. And without me taking a legal stand on or whatnot, I believe that there has been some sort of fraud, if you will, that's been going on. This is not new. This mayor that we have now, and by the way, when I said illegal, to the best of my knowledge, I looked into this several years ago, and I foiled for information, and to the best of my knowledge, no water rate can be passed on to you. First of all, it comes from the city to be passed on to the city of New York. That's where we get our water supply from. And then it goes to a board of water supply, which to me is a shell. There's no such thing as a board of water supply. I never found out who's on it, or what it is. So we know what it is. It's a direct line to the mayor, and this is a cash cow for the mayor to play with people's money. Now, the rate of increase, if you look at the rate of inflation for the last 3 years, because the last time we got an increase, I believe, I looked at was 2015. It's about 2%, less than 2% a year. So if anything compound, you're talking about from 2015, 7% or so. Not 36 1/3%. Some people told me that their consumptions are way out of whack, and as if you know, we've had a lot of rain this summer and spring. So a lot of people aren't watering the gardens. A lot of people have not filled their pools the way they used to, okay? So there's something wrong here. Something is awry here. For the mayor to do this with the water supply as his scapegoat, because I was at the press conference and the mayor directed the news cameras and whatnot to go down and talk to the water department. We were kicked out. I was kicked out of the water department. It was a private meeting. I don't know how it's a private meeting. You're talking about water and bills that taxpayers are paying. Now, why do I bring this up? I bring this up because, as I said before, I looked into this several years ago, because the way it works is if there's an excess of income in the water department, it gets passed on to the city in the general fund. So the city council has a role in this, the board of estimate has a role in this. And if, for example, the income is $2 million and your expenses are $1 million, $1 million should be going to the coffers of the city funds, whatever, the treasury, and that's what it should be. So when I brought this up, who knows if $1 million is the right thing for expenses? Who knows if $2 million? Who is auditing this body? Absolutely nobody. And that's a shame, because when I looked at this several years ago, there was over 1,000 homes that had liens on them for the water bills, not for taxes, for the water bills. They couldn't pay their water bills. Because what happens is, once I think it's a year and a period, if I'm correct, if the bills aren't being paid, they go to the city controller and a lien gets put on the property. Now, I find out that number, I believe the number is 1,200. The number, I believe, is up to 1,700. So what do you think taxpayers that are really in a struggling bind right now, and we have 1,700 of them that are in arrears, what do you think the 36 1/3% increase at least is going to do to these people? What do you think? I mean, I'm asking you, I thank you again, Councilman Wallace, run with this, because go to the authorities, because there's something wrong here. And I'm not going to say it's happening only with this current mayorship. I think it happened before. I think it is abrasive what they're doing right now, and they're really zeroing in on people. I've heard from Councilman Wallace, I heard a statement from Councilwoman Farquharson, and Councilman Marcus was there giving his opinion on it. I have not heard from the other two council people. I want to know where you stand on it, and I want to know if you're going to act as a unified body, go to the Attorney General, go to the State Controller, because something is really wrong here. Really wrong. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wallace. Chairman?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sherry Hicks, 37 North Fifth Avenue, Vernon, New York. I'm going to talk about the issues of the cab, the taxi, because I work in Reliable as a dispatcher. I have my own cab, and I've worked hard so I can afford myself to do business, and I've been dispatching since I was 21. But bottom line is that I've seen a lot of underhanded stuff that shouldn't be going on, that shouldn't go on. And one of them is I was at Reliable, and I know the cabs over there are not in the best conditions, but there are people that's never driven in their whole entire life. They come over there to get a cab and drive it, and drive the people that live in Mount Vernon around. But anyway, bottom line is that I had confronted about this before, that outside cab services like Uber and Lyft come in, and we get a disadvantage of it because they take over where we should be. And we have to pay $500 for our rate cards because we own our own cab service. Well, the reason, if it was more controlled and legalized, then they shouldn't be allowed to come in Mount Vernon and take our business, which we paid for, and if we don't have our right and correct credentials.
Please speak into the mic.
And if we don't have our right and correct credentials, then we're, either our cabs are taken from us, we're arrested, or, because our credentials are not right, but Uber and Lyft are allowed to come in and take our customers. But understand what I'm saying, that I'm not talking that like, okay, there's a whole lot that should be going on that's not correct, which is true. The cabs that we have, if the conditions are not right, they shouldn't be on the road. But we also shouldn't have people come from within the city into Mount Vernon and take over what we built and have established for the Mount Vernon cab service, because there's people that live here 30, 40 years, and the owners of the cab service is not loyal to their drivers, then who is? And so I'm coming here to speak on behalf of New Line is where I work now, because if you can't beat them, I'm not going to join them. I'm going to go where people they respect each other, they deal with each other as it's supposed to be, and Reliable is not where I wanted to be. Because he's the right room for everything. I feel that being in that environment was totally wrong. And if everyone was to take a look at it, Councilman Griffin, Wallace, Burks, Mr. Brown, if they all took a look at what was going on in Reliable and seen the discomforts, because a lot of customers come to me and talk to me, and I've been inside there, I've been inside Blue Line, and I know the ins and outs, but I can only say so much, but I just know that I can't say and do it all myself, and if I can get help, and people can come to me and talk to me and try to help me out, because there's people that don't have hack licenses, that drive those cabs, they leasing cars, and they don't have the proper credentials.
Ms. Hicks,
Yes.
it's 4 minutes. I'll let you go on a little over.
Okay. So bottom line is that I understand everybody, how we all looking into what the cab service is about, but there is a lot of right people that's been in the cab service and not are trying to do the right things, but there's people that is preventing them.
Ms. Hicks,
Okay.
thank you for your remarks. So my understanding, I can answer this, that Uber and Lyft can drop people in Mount Vernon, but they can't pick up the takeout.
But that's not true.
No, they can't. I mean, that's what the law is. That's the same as if you were taking a cab from New Rochelle train station or wherever. Outside of Mount, you can drop off someone, but you can't pick up people. You shouldn't be able to pick up, that's what the law is, if I'm not mistaken. Unless it's changed since
You
I've
shouldn't
been
be able to, but they do, because,
I got it. We don't, there's no back and forth. I was just trying to respond to this. I'm gonna let my colleagues and perhaps there's a break. So I'm gonna start with Councilman Wallace for responses.
Thank you, Council President. I'll start with that at the top. First of all, thank everybody for coming out this evening. You could be spending your time somewhere else, but at least you came here because you're concerned about some issues or something going on in the city, which is great. Mr. Keller, regarding the runoff, yeah, I'm all for the runoff. I know we have Councilman Griffith that's also for the runoff, and we're going to have to see how we can approach that. Either we're going to have to see if we can get everybody on board, or we're going to have to go out and collect signatures. Regarding term limits, yes, I did go out twice. The first time we had the amount of signatures, more than enough, more than double, but it didn't work out because due to a backlash of many of the other council members and other people in the administration, and the mayor as well, you know, they feel that they don't want term limits, you know, and I can't get it done with just 2 votes. I think the people have spoken because, like I said, I talked to people in the street. I'm sure 90% of the people would vote for it. Term limits will pass overwhelmingly. You know, it will pass easily. However, I still say that when a body like this hears from the people, they need to let the people choose. And right now, I don't agree with some other folks and how they choose to look at it. And that's their opinion, and that's their vote. You know, you elected them to be here to make these votes for you and to represent you. So however they are doing it is, whether you think it's in your best interest or not, that's something that you should be also discussing with other council members who do not want it. You know, we have 2 council members that agree with it, and 3 that don't. You know, so my thing when it comes to term limits is I believe, like I've always said, that we 5 should not be choosing for the 80,000 out there. Give them an opportunity to make the choice themselves. And if it's no, I'm happy with it, but at least we gave the people a choice because we work for the people, but sometimes it feels like they work for us, you know, and that's how people look at it, and it's just wrong. Hopefully, we'll get it in next year because I'll be going out for the 3rd time. I'll be getting the signatures, and you know, we'll pass it. I had 3 votes, and then it went down to 2 votes. But I get it. But it's okay. You know, people change their mind. They change their positions after they're elected, and they have the right to do that. But we will go back out. We will collect signatures, and we will go out also if we can't get the runoff, which I believe we should have runoff. We'll go out and get those signatures as well, and really give the people the opportunity to voice their opinions and to speak about what they truly want. Regarding the budget, I saw the budget, I went through the budget needs a lot of work. So we're definitely, I don't think, I know I'm not voting on the budget. I will only speak for myself. I don't know how the rest of the council wants to vote for the budget, but we'll find out about that later. But I think the budget needs a whole lot of work. I think it's lopsided like always. It needs to be revamped and redone. And regarding the water department, I guess I'll sum this up for everybody at the same time. I've been looking at the water department for over a year. I've been going back and forth with the water department over a year. I've written several letters going all the way back to last year, you know, and we put letters that I gave out from January and from, March and in between. When you have a public utility, people don't understand the word public. It belongs to the public and it's a public entity. Anybody should be able to go there and get what they want. This is your water utility. This is your city. The way I look at a city is everybody that owns a house here is invested in this city. You're a taxpayer. You know, you should be able to have a share of this city. So therefore, just like in stocks and bonds, I don't care how big the company is, if you even have one share of Microsoft and you write them a letter, they have to answer you. And they do. But the water department can't answer us and give us information that we're supposed to have. Still today, I could get a second letter to them, and we're supposed to get these numbers. We're supposed to see what's going on. You represented us to watch this money. And as we watch the money, others don't want us to see it. So, I know a lot of things are going pretty funny in the water department. You know, I've seen a lot of things, and Councilman Griffin always mentions about the 25 flat screen TVs that we're still looking at. We only know where 12 is. If that much, maybe it might have been 8. But there's so many things that the water department is using this money for, funneling, and the no-show jobs and everything else. This is your money. After I finished that press conference, they put the poor superintendent, John Arena, in front of the camera, and it was a shame. Everything he said was a lie. He said, we have been giving the money to the controller. Since the mayor's gotten in office, the controller has not gotten a dime. 0. And what's funny about it, they come out and they say these things, and they lie on TV and they lie in front of you. But if you look at his latest budget, it shows you 0 money given to the controller. But if people would just take a moment to look at the paperwork, look at your water bill, and go down to the office and question them, they're going to tell you the same thing they told me. Because I took my bill down there, because my bill went from $48 to $392. And I only have in my office 6 toilets and 6 sinks. And we're open 9 to 5. So that we're not using that kind of consumption. They told me I had a leak in my walls. I'm a contractor. I got plumbers that work for me that's in the building. And I send the plumber through the whole building, no leak. But still my consumption went from 8, cubic yards, to 119. Now, if anybody knows the difference in that amount of water, if I had a leak in my wall, I would have a pool in my basement, and I don't own one. It is ridiculous what is going on. You know, I brought Councilwoman Ferguson up to speed with what was going on, and she said, I can't believe it. My bill went from $53 to $146. She thought she was just crazy. And they told her, you might have a leak. This is what everybody going to the water department hears. They have probably a leak. I had them come out to my building to audit the building. I walked through the building twice, top to bottom. And the guy said, I can't find anything. I can't figure out why your bill jumped that high. I went back to the water department, and I only paid what I thought I needed to pay. So what happened? They put me on a list of everybody's outstanding. We're going to put a lien on him. I got a lien. I'm on the list. But I'm not going to pay it because I know what's going on. I know the funny business, and I know that they're targeting my properties and stuff. There is no way anybody's bill could double, triple like that. I saw Mr. Gallagher's bill because he showed it to me. His consumption went down from 3 to 2, but his price went up. How do you use less water but start to pay more? And then they turned around and said, we had, listen to News 12. New York City raised our rates. Well, I got all the paperwork from New York City and BEP, because I work in the city a lot, so I know people in that area, right? No, there's no rate increase. So why did you raise it? Then he said, it was in anticipation of New York City raising it. Really? So now you're a tarot card reader, huh? And you know what's gonna happen in the future, because loan us that crystal ball, I would like to use it for some other things in Mount Vernon. But the bottom line is, we are being ripped off. And people, you are being ripped off. And some folks live in apartment buildings and they say, oh, it's not gonna affect me, but wait until the rent increase comes to cover the difference of what you're paying, that they're using for bouncy parks and city fests and paying all these things and buying new cars and the list goes on. And we know what it is. Because, you know why? Every event he's had in the last 2 years, he has never come to us without one dime. So where the hell is the money coming from? Think about it. We've never given him a dime. But yet you have all this stuff. There's a Jamaican saying too, when I go down there and I ask him these questions and he get offended and all that stuff, you know, there's a saying, well, you know the saying, right? Jamaican too. Yeah. Thief know like thief see bigger bag. That's it. You don't want to see somebody carrying a big bag. They are up to something, each one of them down there. And I know John Aline is probably, not John Aline, Arena is masterminding this, because I don't know how the rest of them figured it out. Unless they went back and researched, and you'll see it comes out of Chicago with the Tom Daly, what you call it, playbook. Chicago politics, the crookedest town around. But you use that technique here to rip off the people. And you're right, it probably has been going on, but not to the extent of what is going on now. Because you have to make up for all the money you've spent, and you're trying to put the water department back into the black. Okay, so what do? You steal from the people and you pay it back. And that's wrong. Now you think about it. Look at everybody. I'm going to leave you with this. Go back and look at the money from 2015, 14, 13, and going back. You'll always see $800,000, $1 million given to the controller. Mayor Thomas comes into office, 0. The next year, 0. This year, oh, the controller owes us money. How does the controller owe you money? Oh, because she didn't collect the liens. We want her to collect the liens and pay us the money. And when she pays us that money, we're going to use that to pay her back. This is what they told me. It doesn't make sense. So look at your water bills. We're getting duped, everyone. As far as, Ms. Hicks, you're right. Uber comes in here and picks up everybody. You know, they're not supposed to, but you see it all the time. Everybody's Ubering back and forth. It's wrong. It's nobody enforcing it, but that's something that has to happen throughout the administration. We write a letter because we do talk to the taxi commission, which is under PSC. So I'm sure Councilwoman Ferguson will address that a lot more and see what she can do about that to actually, you know, work on that particular agenda. While I see Commissioner Nigro here, I just wanted to give a few words on that real quick. What they're doing is wrong. And I see all of the games that's going on, because I've been here going to 3 years now, going on 3 years, and I've seen a lot coming out of this administration. And we are now facing a lot of problems. And when you start to jeopardize a man's integrity, and I said it to you, I called you myself, and I want to say it on record, I want to say it on Facebook, I want everybody to know. His integrity is impeccable. Because he's not doing something illegal, he's being punished. And you know what? I can always stand behind a person like that. Then some of the people in the building and in the administration with no integrity at all. Okay? And this is the problem we have in the water department and many other departments in this city, including the police department, who do all kinds of things they shouldn't do. If we could start to instill that type of integrity into all different departments of our city, we would not be in the condition we are today. And I wanted to say that, and I want to say to you, we will continue to stand up for you, and we know what's going on, and we're going to do our best to do everything because you are an honorable man. And I wanted to say that.
all the speakers for coming and sharing your concerns. I will, I guess, just go in order. Mr. Keller, with regards to the term limits, I raised several concerns with Councilman Wallace, and looked at other practices in other municipalities, the impact that it's had on those administrations, and the language of the ordinance. I had questions that were not fully answered, so that was not prepared to continue to vote versus support it without having my answers. With regards to runoff elections, this is the first time that I'm hearing of it, so I welcome the discussion. I do have questions as to what cost that will, what is the cost of running runoff elections? Is that borne by the city since it's specific to our municipality? I don't know, I don't have those answers. With regards to Mr. Billy, thank you for again coming and sharing your concerns. You had quite a few of them, and I'll try to address what is relevant to your questions for me. With regards to the press conference, I don't believe that paying workers for work performed is a political issue. It isn't and it shouldn't be. And so I still stand with the employees that work for the city, that provide services to the public, that they deserve to be paid for the work that they do. The fact that if you want, if for you my presence indicates, or your perception is that I am in alignment with the mayor for political reasons, I'm saying to you that that is not the case. I've explained my position, and I support the employees in being paid. It has absolutely, it's not a political decision. Furthermore, with regards to the signatures of the checks, I just want to clarify, when it comes to payroll, the mayor doesn't sign off on that. The checks are specific to vendor payments and other invoicing and payments that the city has to pay. But with regards to payroll, the mayor doesn't sign off on that. So there should be absolutely no reason why it would not delay the comptroller from fulfilling or following through on payroll. Attempts that I have made to communicate with the comptroller have unfortunately gone unanswered, and I don't get the answers to a lot of my questions. As a part-time council member, I do follow the documentation and the correspondence that the commissioners and the directors and civil service members have with the comptroller. They are shared with the council members. And so there's plenty of documentation and correspondence to indicate the comptroller's position on a number of these issues. So I think that the correspondence and the effort that is being made to share that information and to be as transparent as possible with the council members, so that we understand the dynamic between the comptroller and the staff is being made. Mr. Gallagher, with regards to the water department and the issues that are the concerns that we have with the water department, I'm concerned that just the fact that you don't see my presence or another council member's presence, you assume that we're not united and that there is division on the council. Okay, but it came across as that you are perceiving that we're not supportive. With regards to the water department, Mr. Gallo, with regards to the water department, the authority of the water department is granted by the council, and it's defined in the charter, and they're also subject to state law. State law defines several requirements, especially providing accounting statements and so on and so forth. If they are not compliant with the state law and with the charter, then yes, an investigation needs to be conducted. They should be audited. Councilman Wallace has followed on his concerns and the questions that are raised. Clearly, from the anecdotal information, we understand that there's a major issue that has to be explained and needs to be explored and investigated further. And I support the council's effort and the committee's effort to extend that investigation and to follow through on that. With regards to the budget, this is my first budget process. So while I am new to the budget process, I do plan to meet with my department heads of my committee to understand what their needs are and to understand that whether that is or how that's reflected in the proposed budget, as well as meeting with my fellow colleagues for us to have the discussion as to how we wish to proceed and how the budget process will be handled. Finally, Ms. Hicks, my understanding is that while there isn't legislation or there isn't, the law is somewhat limited as to the use of Uber and Lyft, we don't have a really good enforcement mechanism. There isn't a way to enforce them, there isn't a way to stop them. And that is problematic. And so that from that perspective, that needs to be addressed. I don't have an answer as to how that would be addressed. That's not within my committee, and I don't have enough information to be able to say that, but it's clear that we don't have an enforcement mechanism to protect, to want to make sure that they're complying with the law, but also to protect our cab drivers. So I'm going to defer to my committee colleagues who do have more information and who follow that. And at the moment, that concludes my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilwoman Fox. Councilwoman Fox.
Thank you, Madam President. Good evening to the community. Thank you for being here. So let me start with the issue of the water department, because I think, Mr. Gallagher, that you are correct, that this is not a new problem. This is a problem that has existed, and I think it's an open secret that the water department has operated as a slush fund for the city across administrations. So this is not a new problem. It is timely, and it is overdue that as the committee chairperson for LPW, that Councilman Wallace is now giving the appropriate attention to this matter. I think it should be referred for investigation. I think state law is clear that utilities like the water department should not operate at a profit at the expense of the community, because that's an indirect taxation. It should be that we are charged for the water that we use, and whatever profit is reflected, that should be transferred to the coffers of the municipality, and that's how it should operate. So I expect that it will be investigated, and that we will have answers, and that in due time, those of us who maybe do refunds will be provided with that, because it has been an alarming issue that I've raised for the last couple of years. I've talked with the water department extensively even before my time on this council. So it is a matter that needs to be addressed, and I'm glad that it is getting the attention. So I look forward to the Office of State Controller or whatever other investigative bodies will look into this and take appropriate action. For Mr. Billy, you posed a specific question to me, Mr. Billy, on the opiate crisis. And this is something that I have been paying attention to, Mr. Billy. And, I had a conversation yesterday with someone who pointed out to me that the crisis in Mount Vernon as it relates to substance use has not increased. What has happened is that the introduction of substances like fentanyl is making it more apparent to us, because it's causing more overdose and deaths, right? And I thought about that, and I think that may be accurate. What is happening is that we have a body that has been convened including many service providers, the hospital, head of psychiatry, the Office of Community Mental Health, Congressman Engel's office, State Senator Jamal Bailey has attended, but with a committed group of people, the clergy is represented, a committed group of people looking at this issue. And one of the things where we are right now is we're at the point of launching or preparing a public awareness campaign with the tagline, the simple message that it's okay to ask for help. Because we recognize that there are many people in our community who need help. And substance use is a health problem. It's a public health problem. So I thank you for raising this question to my attention, but it's something that I'm already focused on. And I invite you, sir, if you are so inclined, to join our committee, because I'm sure you will provide great input in addressing this problem in our community. As it relates to the term limits, Mr. Keller, I support the term limits. I've been consistent in that. With the runoff elections, I think that's a great idea as well. I understand the concern raised by Councilwoman Duarte that there's additional cost. But because we live in a one-horse town, there's not full representation of everybody when we have this divided electorate. As for the budget, this too is my first budget, even though I participated in the budget process when I sat on the school board. And I have requested from the financial chair, Councilman Griffith, that we get the opportunity to sit with to sit with the heads of the departments to talk about what their priorities are. Because this, I believe, will be a difficult budget season. The budget is reflecting fund balance that I do not believe exists, because we have not had the audit complete. The audits completed for the previous year, so we don't know what state or city is in financially. So we really need to be prudent, and this requires a serious discussion. So I've asked for the opportunity to meet with the council as a body to meet with the heads to talk about it. But failing that, then I will meet individually with the departments that I'm committee chair for, so I get a better understanding and understand how to better advocate, so that with the limited resources that we have, we can best meet the needs of our community. I believe that the budget process needs to be more transparent. Right? It is not a transparent budget process that we have now. It feels like a blind process to me right now, and so that's one thing that I think needs to change, is that the budget process needs to become more transparent to not just the city council members, but to the community as a whole. So moving on to the taxi cab issues. Ms. Hicks, thank you for coming and for sharing your insights. What we know is that there are unmarked vehicles, whether they're Lyft or Uber or whatever else, that there are unmarked vehicles operating in our community as taxi cabs, which places the entire community at risk. And it is something that we've discussed. I have discussed it with the police department. I know that they have made some increase in monitoring of the situation, but it needs greater attention, and it's something that I will continue to speak with the Commissioner of Police about, because it's unreasonable to expect that we have registered taxi cab operators, and they are small business owners in our community, who are paying their $500 and then are not able to make an adequate living because of these illegally operated vehicles in our community. So it is something that needs to be addressed, and I plan to continue to do so with my colleagues. And I believe that's it. I've checked just the taxi, the runoff, yeah. So that's it. Thank you very much for the opportunity, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilman Griffith.
Thank you, and thank you everybody for coming out. I'm going to try to be brief. I'm going to go right to Mr. Keller. I've been clear, I'm not for term limits, but I am for the runoff process. And I've spoken to Councilman Wallace about that. I was willing to do a trade-off for us to work together on the runoff process, because I believe it would have been a different result if we had a runoff in our last scenario. election. And when we talk about the concerns of finances, I've been on the ball for, ever since I started on the council in 2008, very concerned about the budget and the finances. There's still some questions that I would love more transparent with our finances, the city's finances, but there's no doubt that I've always been a strong, conservative financial person, and I wish people in your circles, in your group, would work with me so that we can discuss some of the real issues that we have. However, because your group doesn't seem to like me at all, you never want to talk to the financial person on the council to work out the budget, but that's your choice. I wish we could work together. Mr. Gallagher, I have been speaking of this water department corruption for 2 years. I let people know when their bills were going up. I let people know that there was no major infrastructure repairs or capital improvements being made, and there was something fishy going on in the water department. I pulled out the budget that the mayor prepared. The only reason I'm looking at this is because there are actual numbers in here year over year, and I'm saying that in 2014, there was an $806,000 surplus from the water department that went to the general fund where it should go. In 2015, there was $1.3 million that came from the water department to the general fund. The following year, there was $1.4 million. The year after that, there was $1.2 million. Starting in 2016, that number went down to $434,000. What happened? Because the goal is always to have about $1 million. The water department tries to balance it out, so they are about at $1 million surplus if they balance it out. Sometimes it's higher, sometimes it's a little bit lower. 2016, we know there was a new mayor, it went down to $434,000. 2017, zero. No surplus, no negative. Zero. How bold is it that the administration down in the water department sent nothing at all? But the budget for this year, the anticipated monies that were supposed to come from the water department for this year current, $1.3 million. How can you guess that there's going to be $1.3 million this year when you sent nothing the prior year? And then for the future budget, 2019, they're anticipating to send to the general fund $1 million. Something's not right down in the water department. I've been saying it for years that people need to look at their bills and look at their consumption. Councilman Wallace did do a press conference on it. I jumped right on it because this is what I've been telling people to watch out for. If you look at the mayor's indictment, where he took campaign funds, it didn't start with him taking campaign funds. The charge from the controller's office was about the water department and what's going on down there. And then it got routed across with people that were doing things over there and how they got there from over here. And they connected it to the mayor's campaign accounts. So somebody called me up the other day and said, oh, we have to do an investigation on the water department. I said, we don't have to start an investigation on the water department. The water department investigation was started years ago. And that's what led to the mayor's problems today. So all of this announcement that we're doing now to the public is getting the public aware of all of the things the mayor has been doing these last few years that we've known all along and we've been telling people. The problem is that people just don't want to believe what we're telling them, and they think we're doing nothing about it. The council has always done something about what we know is criminal in the city. But that's the way it goes. Mr. Billy, your question to me was, what can the controller do to help control the mayor's misappropriation of funds in the water department? The controller has done stuff. The previous controller has done stuff in there. We've reported employees that have been in there doing stuff. We've reported that there's been no monies coming over. There's been audits that have been charged. But we still have a strong mayor system here. And we need to look at how this city is run as far as there being a strong mayor system. And how people can elect somebody and that person has power for for 4 years. And there's not that much that the council can do during those 4 years to take any of that mayor's powers away, nor can the controller. And that's the reality that we're in. And we just hope that the enforcement, the authorities, whether it be the federal government or the state government, do what they need to do as swift as they can. And I know I personally have been very frustrated because the information that I think we gave to the authorities was plenty to go in there and get him out of here. And they just haven't done it yet. So I've been very patient. I've been telling everybody that wants to listen what's been going on. And if it takes a press conference to get people excited about it, okay. The reality is still there. Another thing that I'm concerned about that I've been voicing are these banners that are going up on our bridges. Something as minor as that. We're going to have an event that this city has publicized on our bridges. This council didn't approve these banners. And then people are going to say, well, where was the advertising for this? Who endorsed these events? And it's going to come back to this city. This council doesn't approve these events that are going on the roofs and on city properties. This council has voiced that we shouldn't have these events. They're still having them, and I still see these banners around. And there's nothing I can do about it other than take them down personally. And I don't know, I may get arrested for it. But the city needs to be aware of that. And as far as water bills being transferred to landlords and then landlords raise the rents, this city is stuck because we have rent regulation and you landlords can't raise the rents. So what does that end up happening? It ends up falling on the single and two-family houses where their rents to go up. Because the reality is correct, Mr. Keller. People are getting their houses reassessed, which means they're asking to pay less taxes individually, which means the weight of that person's less taxes has to fall on everybody else. So when they lower their tax rates, personally, that falls on everybody, and if we don't change the tax rate, it's effectively going up anyway. We know this. All of that is contained in the budget. And as far as budget transparency, people have to be ready to understand finances, and this really isn't difficult finances, but be ready to really understand everything that goes into this budget. You got to understand the assessment piece, you got to understand how there's revenues and how there's expenses, and all of the movement. You got to understand what the contingency fund is versus the general fund, and it's not hard to do, but you have to be prepared to do that in order to put this budget together. And I can say firmly, my first year here in 2008, I was on it. I typed in the entire budget into my computer by hand, because that was the only way I was going to get it in an electronic format. And that's what I will continue to do. And I'm proud to say that. As far as term limits, I'll go back to that really quick. I'm not in favor of term limits, because often there's a person on the council that has been here long enough to remember a lot of stuff. And new council people don't have the luxury of remembering everything that happened. So if you have term limits and you get rid of all of the institutional knowledge, things aren't good. That's why government has civil service, so where the secretaries stay here and some of the clerks stay here, because the commissioners may come in and think they know what they're talking about, but the people that really run government, that really should run government, are the workers that are here year over year and know where the bodies are buried and know where that file is and know how to access information. So I'm not in favor of term limits because you lose all of the good people. And if you're not a good council person, mayor, or controller, you're going to get voted out. That's your term limits, and that's what I've concluded. So, thank you all. I think everybody has spoken very well. One thing that I do want to say, my concern about the water department is limited to this current mayor's administration of it. Because in prior years, I was very proud of how the water department was run. One comment that I made at the press conference was, I don't want people thinking that we have poor water quality. We have the best water quality probably in the world. New York City has the greatest water quality because of how their piping is routed down from 100 miles up. We basically have spring water. And the city of Mount Vernon, I had this up on my wall in room 101, our council room. Back in maybe 1919, we sued to be able to tap in to New York City's water, right? Because if we didn't do that, we'd be scrambling for where we get our water from. We tap into New York City's water that's 100 miles up, and the DEP protects that water. So we have great water. You don't have to buy bottled water in Mount Vernon. We have excellent water quality. And this is the first time that I'm seeing in the city of Mount Vernon that we're using that money for incorrect things. Those screens that you see out by the building department, the building commissioner, who's brand new, came to me and said, oh, I needed some screens. I needed some television screens or whatever. I was down in the water department and they had extra. And they just gave me 2. They can't give you 2 screens. It's a totally different operation. It's administered totally different. So even the television screens that they gave to the buildings department is wrong. And yes, we know there's about 25 of them, and we've been getting information as to where the other screens are. So something as simple as television screens is being sent around to people's friends and stuff. You may find some, I don't know, in the mayor's living room. Let's check the serial numbers. There's a lot of crime going on in Mount Vernon, and I wish there was more that the council could do to fix it immediately. We just can't, and that's the reality. I believe it's coming, so just wait for that. Thank you, and God bless you. God bless Mount Vernon.
Thank you, Councilman. It's always great to be last, but let me say this. I think I've been consistent from day one. I don't support term limits. We have them currently. They vote you out. That's it. Runoff elections is a little different. We can support it, but we really don't have jurisdiction over our elections anymore, so Westchester County Board of Legislators, of elections. So in order for us to have a runoff election, they have to get additional funding in their budget for the year. To my knowledge, there's no place in Westchester County that does it. So that's an additional cost. You may not pay it through your city tax, but through your state, because the money's got to come from somewhere, or federal, because that's how elections are funded now. Federal government, state government, county government to here. So, I think runoff election, that's a fine idea. If we can support it, if we can afford it. Because I hear you talking more and more about the budget, and which is, we're still going through it, but it does need some work. There's a lot of additional revenues that I don't know that will be supported, but we're in the early stages. As in every year of every budget, I think I participated in 18, 19, maybe about 23 budgets. The council always meets with the department heads. They come to the committee meetings and they give their wish list. And we go through it piece by piece. Some get, some don't. But the reality is we should have a capital budget. And the reason why we don't have a capital budget is because there hasn't been an audit. Because we can't go out the bond until the audit for the URA is complete. So some things that are included in our regular operating budget really should be in a capital budget and spread out over time for the taxpayers as well. But I'm always hopeful. You answered the water. And I can't remember who it was. Oh, Mr. Billy, I guess it was you who said, do I actually think that the controller doesn't want to pay the people? Well, there's a thing in our government called legislation that's passed by the council. And after the council passes it, if it has a fiduciary component to it, it goes to the Board of Estimate. And once the Board of Estimate passes it, then it's the law, and it should be supported. Right now, the Journal News has cut us off. Our law department can't go into West Law because the bills haven't been paid. So we're a city with a lot of litigation, and our own attorneys can't even go into West Law. We can't get the Journal News to print our notices because the bill hasn't been paid. So you tell me, if people, I agree with Councilwoman Duarte, and me and the mayor have a lot of differences. I don't go to the press to talk about it. I tell him about it. You're wrong on this, you're wrong on that, you're wrong, and that's the way it should be. And that's how I learn. I see no benefit of the city of Mount Vernon being on TV every day with something negative. Now, while I do support Councilman Wallace's press conference at a funeral, I wasn't there. But I do support it. I think it's outrageous. That's 36 and 30%. And I don't believe New York City has, even if they're increasing it, it's not that much. I do. And I do believe there will be an investigation. And there are a lot of things that need to be investigated, including, when the controller first came in 1994, I was very young, but I was here. And there were some difficulties in the beginning. It's a learning process. People run for stuff, and they don't, you run a campaign, but then it's time to govern. So what you think it is and what it actually is, it's not. And I think you said, Mr. Billy, that I missed a few meetings, but you know I'm here every day in this building. For several hours a day, meeting with commissioners, but I should be out making a living. This is supposed to be a part-time job. I'm here almost every day. You see my car back there. So I'm thinking, yes, I missed a couple council meetings. I may miss another one. But I'm here every day to make sure that when they get here to the council meeting, that all of these people have the information. I email them every morning, usually before 6 a.m., of all the information I got the night before, and they can collaborate or not. So, I'm insulted. Because when I was in the clerk's office, you never saw the council people in here. They were never here. They came to get their checks. They were here. And we made up the committee meeting to help with the retirement. So they were here on Wednesday nights. Maybe they met an hour before the council meeting and they went through it. It's not like that now. This is full time. We're here all the time. Every single commissioner, when they call me, they have an issue. I listen to it. I say, okay, I get it. I say, now you have to call the committee chief. That's why they call them all the time. So I'm offended. This presidency has been difficult, but we moved the bar without being in the paper all the time. I try not to be, because I don't need it. I do the work, I don't do the press. Do we want to take a recess or not? That concludes my remarks.
Yes, we do.
We'll take a short recess, 5 minutes. Public Works? We did it, this. We got our referrals. Legislation and Public Works?
Thank you, Madam President. I have an ordinance authorizing, directing, and renaming the street entrance way to the Department of Public Works garage in the memory of Dennis CLL. So,
Second. On the question? Roll call?
Councilwoman Duarte,
Aye.
Councilwoman Farkas,
Aye.
Councilman Griffin,
Aye.
Councilman Wallace,
aye.
Council President Copeland.
Aye.
I have an ordinance granting permission to the Department of Recreation to co-sponsor City Fest with the Friends of Mount Vernon Arts Recreation and Youth Program. So moved.
Second. On the question?
Madam President,
Yes, Councilman.
I just want to note that the same legislation was presented to this body last year in August of 2017. The Commissioner did communicate with this council that they were not timely in submitting the referral letter, and that was by error on their part. So I just wanted to give that some reference.
And since we only had 3 votes at our last meeting, that's why it's on again, even though the event has taken place. Roll call?
Councilwoman Duarte,
Aye.
Councilwoman Farkas,
Aye.
Councilman Griffin,
No.
Councilman Wallace,
Aye.
Council President Copeland.
Aye. Human Resources?
Thank you, Madam President. I have an ordinance authorizing the mayor to formalize the Title VI and ADA plan from the Federal Transportation Authority for the Department of Recreation. So moved.
Second.
On the question?
Madam President, if I may.
Yes.
So this is one of the add-ons. I just want to explain and clarify to this body that the Recreation Department has received federal funds to purchase new vehicles that are ADA compliant. As part of the requirements of the federal agency, they are required to have a policy. So this legislation is simply to accept the policy and the language that the federal transportation authority is requesting. It's not a transfer of funds, this is simply approving a policy to be compliant with the TA requirements.
Thank you. Are there any other questions on this? Roll call?
Councilwoman Duarte,
Aye.
Councilwoman Farkas,
Aye.
Councilman Griffin,
Aye.
Councilman Wallace,
Aye.
Council President Copeland.
Aye.
I have an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a subcontract
agenda.
On the question? Roll call?
Councilwoman Duarte,
Aye.
Councilwoman Ferguson,
Abstain.
reason,
Reason, because these are add-ons, I did not get an opportunity to review them, and I will not be voting like that.
Councilman Griffith,
Aye.
Councilman Wallace,
Aye.
Council President Copeland.
Aye.
I have an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with the Girl Scouts of the Hudson, Inc., to performing an after-school programs with the Youth Bureau Strong program, so moved.
Second.
On the question? Roll call?
Councilwoman Duarte,
Aye.
Councilwoman Ferguson,
Abstain for the same reason.
Councilman Griffith,
Aye.
Councilman Wallace,
Aye.
Council President Copeland.
Aye.
I have an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with Just Inspire, again, to provide after-school STEAM programs at the Mount Vernon and Youth Bureau Strong programs. So moved.
Second. Second.
On the question? Roll call?
Councilwoman Duarte,
Aye.
Councilwoman Ferguson,
Abstain. Same reason.
Councilman Griffith,
Aye.
Councilman Wallace,
Aye.
Council President Copeland.
Aye.
I have an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a sub-agreement with Arch for Kids, also to provide after-school programs and for the Mount Vernon Youth Bureau Strong programs. So moved.
Second.
On the question? Roll call?
Councilwoman Duarte,
Aye.
Councilwoman Ferguson,
Abstain for the same reason.
Councilman Griffith,
Aye.
Councilman Wallace,
Aye.
Council President Copeland.
Aye.
I have a resolution honoring Mount Zion Christian Baptist Church. So moved.
Second.
On the question?
The question, were these a part of our referrals from last night, this item here?
No. Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
And the event happened. I had barbecue on Saturday and church on Sunday. So, but we can still present it to them. We didn't have that just roll call.
Councilwoman Duarte,
Aye.
Councilwoman Ferguson,
Aye.
Councilman Griffith,
Aye.
Councilman Wallace,
Aye.
Council President Copeland.
Aye.
Public safety and codes.
Thank you, Madam President. I have a resolution honoring Lynn McBride, so moved.
Second.
On the question? Lynn McBride is being honored on Saturday, October 6th, the Westchester Marriott by the Westchester Black Women's Political Caucus. Roll call.
Councilwoman Duarte,
Aye.
Councilwoman Ferguson,
Aye.
Councilman Griffith,
Aye.
Councilman Wallace,
Aye.
Council President Copeland.
Aye. Thank you. I have an ordinance amending ordinance number 20 adopted September 12, 2018, entitled an ordinance granting permission to the Department of Public Safety to condemn and dispose of inoperable city-owned vehicles. So moved.
Second.
On the question? Roll call.
Councilwoman Duarte,
Aye.
Councilwoman Ferguson,
Aye.
Councilman Griffith,
Aye.
Councilman Wallace,
Aye.
Council President Copeland.
Aye. Madam President, I move that the next resolution be held on the floor because it was not discussed in committee as is required.
Well, actually, it's not really required because things come on.
But it was not
It's
discussed.
your committee, so.
It was not discussed, so I would like to hold it. So moved.
Madam President, I make a motion that we vote it out of committee.
Okay.
Public Safety and Code, second by,
I have to second it, because she did.
second by the Council President. You will vote on that first before it comes to the floor. Your vote, Councilman Wallace?
Aye.
What
I
number is
think
this?
you're supposed to do the chair
Yes,
first.
I am. What number is this?
It's number 11.
11. Councilwoman Farquharson, your vote to bring this out of committee to the floor?
Absolutely not.
No. Nay. Councilman Wallace, your vote to bring this item to the floor? Your vote?
Aye.
Council President Copeland,
Aye.
this item is now belongs to the body.
So, Councilman Ross, are you going to read the legislation? Because I'm assuming.
A resolution of the City Council authorizing discontinue of Article 78 proceeding brought on behalf of the City Council, 16 East Broad Street and North High Development LLC. So moved.
Anybody else can take it?
Well, before I second, Clerk Brown just clarify the rules for me. I'd like to make some amendments to the legislation. Should I do that on the question? Should I second it first and then do that on the question?
Well, you would like to amend the,
actual legislation, the body of the legislation.
well, the person that's bringing it to the
Yes.
floor should be the person that offers the amendment. It will now be his legislation.
So then if I may, I would like to request that Councilman Wallace, I would like to not second that. I would like to make the motion to move it and then make the edits to the legislation.
He has to make the motion. It's his legislation.
But there was no second.
Yeah, there wasn't a second, so. Do you want to walk over to him to show him the changes? I think that's fine. Councilman, you don't need to say it with the line, so I can help you get through it. The line number one.
I'm concerned with that. Move the legislation over there.
Oh, you mean, I got it. So,
Councilman Wallace, I believe, has the floor.
Yes, it is.
I don't believe there's going to be a second.
Okay, Council President would ask them to read it again.
if there's not gonna be a second, let's just go to 12. So we're holding that one?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
It's not holding the floor.
Hold it on the floor, okay. Number 12? You have number 12.
I have a resolution of the City Council authorizing the discontinuance of the Article 78 proceedings brought on behalf of the City Council, 224 Gravington Avenue, so moved.
Second.
On the question?
Yes, Madam President, I have a question.
What, all of them?
Because she didn't bring forth number 11. That doesn't mean she needs to say that on the record.
Say what?
You say, it, you the clerk. That's your part, that's your part.
Yeah, Councilwoman, Ferguson, you indicated that you did not want to bring forth number 11.
Same thing with number 12.
Okay, you need to just say that.
Okay. So, yeah, so the council, the committee chair, co-chair is bringing forth, legislation number 12.
And what is your desire? You do not want to bring it forth?
No, I do not.
And is there a intention to bring it out of the committee to the floor?
Yes. I'm moving it to bring it out of committee.
Second.
Councilwoman Duarte, Councilman Ferguson, number 12. You do have.
Oh, to bring that out of committee, no.
Councilman Wallace.
Yes.
Excuse me, if I may, Council President.
We don't want a vote once we finish it.
Council President Copeland.
Yes. I mean, now I'm doing it wrong. Aye. Yes, Councilman Griffith, you're fine.
I'm sorry, what was that vote that was just
To
taken?
bring number 12 out of
Committee, because the chairperson was not bringing it forward.
If I may, Council President, it is not bringing it out of the committee because the committee voted to bring it forward. There's a committee of 3, and there are 3 members. 2 members voted to have it moved
That was
forward.
number 11.
We're on
When?
12.
When?
12.
Number 12.
When was it voted?
There was no vote.
When was it voted?
We're talking about number 12?
Yes.
It didn't need to be a vote. There's 3 people on the committee. 2 people wanted to go forward.
There was no vote.
So it's pretty much out of committee now. In
It's
this fashion, it's still the same way. So
It's still in the committee. The committee has decided for it to be.
No, we're going
We
to
just
bring the
voted it
legislation
out. We just
out.
moved it out to bring it to the floor.
To the floor. Councilman Wallace, we proceed with number 12.
Thank you. I have a, are we on the question?
No.
You're bringing it to the floor. I have a resolution of the City Council authorizing the discontinuing of Article 78 proceedings brought on behalf of the City Council, 224 Gravington Avenue, so moved.
Second.
On the question?
I have a question, Madam President.
Yes, Councilman Parks.
So last night, there was some question as to what the final number of apartments would be. Has that been clarified? That one document, the planning department document said one thing.
Right, Councilman Griffith, you were working with the attorney.
I believe if you read the legislation, you will see that it has been clarified. But I guess since you're not in favor of the legislation, you're not going to read it. This is not the time to read the legislation.
We just got that. When were we gonna read it? We just got it.
Yes.
When were we gonna read it? We have to read it now. We just got it. emailed it to us earlier, I should say, but
It
in
was,
this form.
it wasn't email.
It was emailed. That's why I printed it out, it's right here, it was in our email. Well, we were on the question, right?
Yes.
Roll call, oh, you have something, follow-up question? Wait, before you speak, is there anyone else who wants to comment on the legislation before Councilwoman Farquharson speaks again? Okay, Councilwoman Farquharson?
36. But that's not what the document said, according to the attorney last night. He said it was 44. So why does it say 53 here? Where does that number come from?
Are you asking me?
Yes, ma'am. I mean, I'm just saying it's not clear because that's not what was indicated to us last night by the attorney. He said that the approval was for 44 apartments and not 53.
Councilman Burbank?
If I recall last night, he said, there were 36 units approved in the resolution and 44 units approved by the board, which is different from what is represented here.
Council
It
President?
was revised, okay, yes, sir.
So is this a mistake that can be corrected, or is something happened after the meeting that we don't know about in the number?
Well, the number that was presented to us on Monday night was 53.
And
That's what was presented to us.
right.
As well as,
Right.
But then the attorney said,
one,
So in the
through the, wait, okay, now you're responding to the question?
Yes, I have.
Right. Okay, Councilman Griffin.
So in the resolve, it says, now therefore be it resolved, blah, 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 blah. One, that the special counsel advises the council that the aforesaid actions of the planning board and architectural review board are consistent with the developer's representations.
The last whereas clause, I guess, I
But-
can read
but
it.
what
It
he
says,
said-
on review of that information, the city council finds that the concerns that led to filing of the, well, you don't need that part.
no,
Down to, except insofar as the challenged ZBA resolution granted a use variance for 36 residential units and a variance allowing a reduction of 12 associated residential parking spaces. Where the developer represents that the project reviewed by the ZBA and planning board will include 53, so it's included in there.
Yeah,
What was done.
but what Mr. Lidco said last night was that the board, ZBA's, shows 44, not 53. That was a discrepancy that he raised last night. So can we see what the ZBA document?
So if, Madam President, if I may.
Councilman?
When you go to, if you read in the resolve again, it continues on with number 2. The developer stipulate that it will not apply for a building permit to construct more than the number of dwelling units allowed by a duly adopted
So why does
resolution.
it say 53?
It's stated in there because it was presented as the, whereas clauses further describe the situation. Everything is included in the resolution. Everything that was discussed. That's my understanding and my,
That's what I'm reading, and that's what we discussed with the attorney last night, our counsel last night.
any other questions on the legislation? Councilman, Dorothy, you have a question?
Yes, Madam President, thank you. If I am reading or understanding this correctly, I believe that it is also authorized, this resolution also authorizes our special counsel to negotiate and sort out these terms with the applicant, to sort out these discrepancies with the applicant, if I'm reading
That is what it says in the resolved, final paragraph.
This is why we can't have term limits.
Anything, trust me, nobody, the people are crazy around for this. Roll, any other questions? We exhausted all questions, okay, roll call.
Councilwoman Duarte, you're voting on item number 12 on the agenda. Councilwoman Duarte.
Aye.
Councilwoman Farquharson.
No.
Councilman Griffith.
Aye.
Councilman Wallace.
Aye.
Council President Copeland.
Aye. Finance and planning,
Thank you, Madam President. I have an ordinance authorizing the city council to retain the firm of Jacobowitz and Rubitz LLP as special secret counsel for the Sentinel at Mount Vernon project. So moved.
Second.
on the question? Roll call.
Councilwoman Duarte.
Aye.
Councilwoman Farquharson.
Aye.
Councilman Griffith.
Aye.
Councilman Wallace.
Aye.
Council President Copeland.
Aye, and these are bargain compared to our other lawyers. Continue, Councilman.
I have a resolution of the City Council of the City of Mount Vernon assuming lead agency status for coordinated environmental review of the proposed development of property located at 1 North Fulton Avenue, Mount Vernon. So moved.
Second.
On the question? Roll call.
Councilwoman Duarte.
Aye.
Councilwoman Farquharson.
Aye.
Councilman Griffith.
Aye.
Councilman Wallace.
Aye.
Council President Copeland.
Aye.
I have an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a retainer agreement with Valuation Plus Inc. So moved.
Second.
On the question? Roll call.
Councilwoman Duarte.
Aye.
Councilwoman Farquharson.
Abstain. Abstain, I did not have an opportunity to review this, this is an add-on.
Councilman Griffith.
Aye.
Councilman Wallace.
Aye.
Council President Copeland.
Aye.
I have an ordinance granting permission to waive taxes on urban renewal agency owned property known as 205 South Fifth Avenue. So moved.
Second.
Before.
Is this before the question?
Yes.
Okay, withdraw, I need you to withdraw your second, please.
Okay, I can withdraw my second.
It was brought to my attention by our legal counsel that we need to go into executive session for this and speak about it because of legal matters.
Questions,
Okay. So I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session.
Motion to go into second.
No, I move.
I move to make a motion to go into.
No, I move to go into executive session.
I move to go into executive session.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, roll call on executive session, please. Mr.
Roll
Clerk.
call on executive session. Councilwoman Duarte.
Aye.
Councilman Farquharson.
Aye.
Councilman Griffith.
Aye.
Councilman Wallace.
Aye.
Council President Copeland.
Aye. So stay right here. Commissioner O'Connor, I think we need you in our executive session. By anyone, it's his fault.
Item an ordinance granting permission to waive taxes on urban renewal agency owned property known as 205 South Fifth Avenue. So moved.
Second.
On the question?
I have a question, Mike.
Yes.
I would like to place on the record whether or not this body has the authority to waive taxes. I think that the history of this property, is that, you know, that more information needs to be provided to the public. I think that this is a resource for our community, that even though it's in disrepair, that we should be mindful of how this is treated. $2.4 million of waived taxes is not a small matter, and I think that greater care and thoughtfulness should be given to it. So, thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. You want to speak to the board?
Any other questions on the
I have a
legislation?
question.
Councilman Moss?
Yes, can our attorney clarify this on the record, please?
Again, I'd like to reserve my legal opinion until Westlaw is up and running, since it's been suspended since the non-payment, literally. And with respect to the exemptions, they've been enumerated and outlined in the referral letter as URA city-owned property. Anything outside of that, again, I will certainly be back to the council with a detailed explanation.
Any other questions? Roll call.
Okay, Councilwoman Duarte.
I abstain. I'm not prepared to vote on this right now. Some of my questions are legal in nature, and as the Assistant Appropriation Council just stated, we have some resource challenges that are preventing us from answering my questions. So at this moment, I abstain.
Councilwoman Ferguson.
No.
Councilman Griffith.
Aye.
Councilman Wallace.
Aye.
Council President Copeland.
Aye.
I'm an ordinance authorizing the mayor to extend the MOU between the city of Mount Vernon and Quest Towers LLC, FKA Apex Building Group Inc. So moved.
Second.
On the question?
Mayor, Madam President.
I just want to be clear. Can you let me say yes? Councilwoman Parker?
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to be on the record again to say that I think that this is an example of land hoarding, that this MOU has been in existence since 2014 and has been extended and re-extended and extended again. And I object to this kind of transaction in the city.
Thank you, thank you, Councilwoman. Did you, Councilwoman Duarte?
I do have a question. Actually, I posed a number of questions to both the commissioner and also to the assessor to vet some of the information that has been provided. And as of this moment, I don't have all my answers. I'm concerned about this as an ongoing practice. I believe that it's in our best interest to dispose of property through auction. However, I want to be careful in looking at this. And I would be remiss to overlook the opportunity, the lost part of the opportunity to forego any continued loss of tax revenue. But as of right now, some of the questions that I had and thought I had the answers by now, I do not. So just hang on.
Any other comments?
I just want to put on the record that.
Can I say, Councilman Griffin?
Sure.
Councilman Griffin, please proceed.
Thank you. I just want to say on the record that this MOU, I do not believe gives permission to the mayor to sign the land acquisition for the property or properties that are included in the legislation.
Any other comments? Roll call. Did you have something, Councilman Wallace?
On the question, on this particular thing, I know it's coming out as the last minute on 17, but I did get a chance to read some of the stuff regarding that MOU, and there's a lot of things in there that's very concerning to me on how things were moved around and who has title, who has rights, who has ownership to that MOU. So until I finish further investigating this and trying to find out exactly what's going on with that, it's something that I won't be able to vote on. So I just want to put that on record because the information that I've seen is just not adding up for me at this time. And I'd like to, read into it a lot more. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Wallace. Sure, Councilman Duarte?
Thank you. I just want to say that my co-chair, or the chair, Councilman Griffith, in reviewing the language of the ordinance and the MOU, the way I read it and understand it, it does not give the authority to the mayor to negotiate and execute the agreement without seeking approval by the council first. However, there's discrepancies in that, and that is the challenge I'm having right now, because those discrepancies have not been clarified.
That's it? All right, thank you. Part of the problem with this developer, this project, is it took a year and a half for the mayor to even sit with them, and that's why the MOU expired. I'm going to support it. Apparently it doesn't have the votes. Hopefully by the next time we meet that it will have the votes to move forward, but it's kind of unfair when the person was under an assumption and had, it's unfair to the person, but it is what it is. So roll call on number 7, is it 17? Number 17.
Councilwoman Duarte,
Abstain.
for the record, support the reasons that you placed on the record, okay. Councilwoman Farquharson,
No.
Councilman Griffith,
Aye.
Councilman Wallace,
Abstain. For the purpose you placed on record? For the purpose I placed on record, I'm still investigating this.
Council President Copeland.
We sat in no less than 4 meetings with Mr. Coulter and the planning commissioner, but anyway, I vote aye. Is there any other business to come before this body? I don't know if Friday's enough time, it may have to wait until Monday to, all my colleagues have their answers to the questions. So, a couple of items need a second vote, so we're going to have a special, I don't know whether it'll be Friday or Monday, but it will be posted and the clerk's office will know. So is there a motion to adjourn? Or is there something that someone wants to share? Some event coming up? No?
I will motion to.
You vote.
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call on adjournment, please, Mr. Clerk.
Councilwoman Duarte. Councilman.
Aye.
Councilman Farquharson.
Aye.
Councilman Griffith.
Aye.
Councilman Wallace.
Aye.
Council President Copeland.
Aye. This meeting is